Thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning. I know hopefully everybody is safe after I think we received a little bit more rain last night than we were all anticipating. And I appreciate you taking the time out of your morning. What we hope will be a very educational webinar for you today. My name is Lee Brumbaugh. I am the Director of Sales with Uprite Services. We want to, again, be able to provide you guys a high level of value today, and at the end have plenty of time for you to ask your questions. I serve as our Director of Sales, so I will be segueing us over this morning to kind of our IT technical team. If you're not familiar with Uprite, I know we have some of our clients on today and prospects that have worked with us for a while, but if you're not familiar, we are a local based in Houston and the Webster area MSP provider, managed service provider that really focuses on 5 key areas. We focus on managed IT services, security and compliance, remote workforce solutions, cloud-based services, and VoIP phone offerings. So again, for those of you that are familiar with us, we appreciate you joining today. And for those of you who are not, we're happy to engage and always speak with you and really be able to connect. Today, I'm going to be talking about working safely from home, really what it means to be able to work remotely. As you can see here, that there's a little bit of somewhat of a quote that says, what we're trying to focus on is what every employee must know about the vulnerabilities of working outside the company network and your role in protecting the company. And really, in short, what we're focusing on today is that we know that the landscape has shifted, right? So as more and more employees work from home, we want to today be able to give you tangible tips on how you can better protect your company and how your employees can feel safe, not only protecting the company, but protecting their own personal data as well. Matt, if you go to the next slide, you can kind of see some of why we're here. And I promise, I think everybody knows as they scan through the slides that they can tell this was a pre-COVID slide, right? So as you can see, it says remote workers normally make up 3.2% of our entire workforce. 44% of companies don't allow remote work at all. We all know that's flipped on its head as we find more and more companies that have not only gone through the pandemic and have shifted to allow employees to work remotely. What we're finding is that more and more companies may be staying that way. And so you've got to look at innovative, creative solutions to be able to protect your company as you move forward. Because we have had things that have come up, of course, natural disasters like we're seeing today, but really being able to protect from your company from these scenarios is something that we want to make sure we're focusing and giving you tangible tips. So that, again, employees can protect their family and protect their data. So with that, Matt, if you go to the next slide, the agenda for today will be maintaining control of company data, why this is important. We're going to give you some tips on how the bad guys get in. There are a lot of creative things. We'll try and have some fun with it as well. And then we will talk about your role, what you can do to protect yourself, what you can protect your family, your data. Again, we want to have tangible tips, things that you can specifically go back and tell your employees, and then also what you will be able to do that you can move forward. Lastly, I'll introduce our client success manager, Regda, and she'll talk about her role within the company and how we can be a service to you moving forward. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Matthew. Matt is our lead project technician, but really is the guru of keeping clients safe, is what we like to say. So with that, Matt, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you. And I'd like to thank everyone for joining our webinar. Again, my name is Matthew Waddell. I'm currently a senior project technician for Uprite, and I've been with the company for over 3 years. Before that, I spent 8 years as a contracted systems administrator for a number of clients in the Galveston area, ranging from a bank to many small local businesses. And my part today is to talk about how we can work safely from home and to give you a little bit of the technical aspects of that. So let's talk about maintaining control of company data and why it's important. A data breach can be extremely damaging to your company. There can be revenue loss due to downtime, lost clients due to slow turnaround, your public image can be tarnished, and there could be possible lawsuits depending on the type of data that was accessed. Small to medium businesses are prime targets. There's a lot of reasons why SMBs are prime targets for cybercrime. like budget, right? Oftentimes, SMBs only spend about 10% of their annual budget on IT, including support. They can't offer a $40,000 firewall and a CISO on staff, right? They can't afford that. They have low IT skill level. There may be no support until something breaks. They may have aging equipment and unpatched devices. Maybe the owner wears too many hats and there's no focus on security. A lot of SMBs don't believe it's going to happen to them. SMBs are generally far behind the enterprise in educating their employees on security awareness. Here's what I really like. SMBs believe their data is not valuable to a hacker. You know, maybe it's not valuable to them or anyone else, but how much would you pay to get your data back if it was encrypted? How long could your business survive, or could it? So what are the true costs of ransomware? SentinelOne has broken down the cost of ransomware into 6 factors. This includes both direct and indirect costs. When it comes to the ransom payment, SentinelOne saw an uptick in ransom demands in Q3 of 2019 from 36,000 to 41,000 in Q4. This continues to grow as time progresses, and that's just the direct cost. You have a lot of indirect costs as well. You've got enforced downtime while recovering from the ransomware attack. The average cost for an SMB in 2019 was $141,000. You may have reputation loss. Estimating the cost of reputation is difficult, but not handling public disclosure in a timely and transparent manner can make matters worse. There could be liability. Depending on the type of data you have and your customers, you could be looking at lawsuits for privacy violations. The settlements and court costs can quickly go through the roof. There could be collateral damage. Brian Krebs with Krebs on Security reported a case where a company was initially infected with the Ryuk ransomware and had all their credentials stolen and then reused for all sorts of malicious activities. And finally, you could actually end up with data loss. Right? Paying the ransom doesn't always mean you get your files back. There have been cases where the recovery mechanism in the virus was faulty, causing incomplete recovery of some file types. And in other cases, the hackers just walk away and never provide the key after getting their payday. A breach can lead your company down a path of non-compliance, triggering an audit that will ultimately cost. These compliance standards are constantly changing and becoming more and more strict. Customer or board trust can be lost when a violation occurs, and this can affect the bottom line and the direction of the business. A HIPAA violation can range from $100 to $50,000 per record, but hey, at least they max out at 1.5 million. Now, some of you may have noticed the New York State Senate logo and wondered why it's here. They enacted a SHIELD Act earlier this year, tightening down on privacy regulations for any business in New York. Violations here can run you a sweet $250,000. Now, rest assured that these types of regulations will be adopted in more and more states until the federal government puts in regulations for the country. So how does a breach happen? What are we trying to protect exactly? Well, let's talk about threat vectors. What is a threat vector? Threat vectors are all the different ways that we can become compromised, or better put, how the bad guys get in. Email is the #1 way hackers infiltrate business and personal computer networks. This means they've phished a password, someone accidentally installed malware, or the credentials have been compromised in another way. However, there are numerous ways hackers can get into your computer systems. This includes using poor or outdated encryption, not having strong patching schedules, misconfigurations when installing things like servers and routers. The list goes on, and the threat landscape is growing rapidly. As we add Internet of Things devices like smart home and wearables to our network, we have a larger footprint to defend. And that's not to mention that other technologies are growing at a rapid pace, and therefore so are the security issues. Phishing. Phishing is when a bad actor sends an email that is crafted to deceive you into clicking a link and installing a program or divulging your password or even worse. A common phishing attack that we see is for hackers to learn your internal business structure and target specific individuals. We had the controller of one of our clients receive an email that appeared to be from the boss asking him to wire a large amount of money to an account. It looked convincing at first, and it was sent to the right person, but under inspection, the email address that was sending the email wasn't actually correct. Luckily, the controller was smart enough to catch this instead of making a mistake, and since then, we've been able to implement stronger protection that identifies impersonation attempts and helps to block those emails. With so much social media out there, our personal lives can sometimes be on display as well. So sometimes hackers will use this information to target your family to gain access to you. What if a hacker was in your spouse's mailbox and sent this over? Hey honey, work is making me do some extra training this year. Can you click on this scheduling link to see what day and time works best for us? How many of us would double check with our spouse before clicking that link? How about weak passwords? I don't see this all the time, but it's still out there. Let's say a website you use gets breached. Maybe it takes a week or two for them to gather enough information before they publicly disclose the breach. How long do you think it would take someone to brute force your password from the stored password on their server? Even worse, what if they never disclose the breach? How regularly do you update your passwords? And is it complex enough? Finally, let's talk about unpatched systems. This is a big one, right? Just keeping a patching schedule. As vulnerabilities are found for software or devices, they get added to a huge searchable database. Here I use Cisco as the search term and found 4,890 different results. To make things worse, there's already software out there that hackers can leverage to identify a list of vulnerabilities that are on your device. This includes your routers, your computers, your phones, anything connected to the network. Once they have a way in, they can pivot around your environment until they find something of value. Keeping known vulnerabilities patched will help defend against those kinds of attacks. So what is your role, right? Many of us are working from home, and that requires added responsibility. However, many of us don't know what we can do or where to start. So what are some of the things that you can do to help protect yourself, your family, and your employer? Install updates. You can install updates automatically nowadays. It's the easiest way to help protect your computer from known exploits. This doesn't just mean Windows updates either. I'm talking about Office, especially Outlook, Chrome, Firefox, Java, maybe even your VoIP soft phone. All those nagging pop-ups asking you to restart the program or your computer for an update. Oh, and don't forget about your cell phone on your home router. Cell phones have become a huge threat vector for new attacks in recent years. And most of us probably have our work email on our mobile devices too. McAfee says the total number of mobile malware attacks reached 30 million by the end of 2018. Symantec says that routers, typically home routers, have proven to be the most desirable targets for hackers, with 75% of all Internet of Things malware infecting those devices. I get security advisories daily to update this or update that. And normally it's because there's a new vulnerability found that allows for remote code execution. Now what that means is someone can run something on your system that shouldn't be able to. And depending on the exploit, they may be able to run it as full admin or as system. These types of threats are found and patched on a daily basis. Having some sort of update schedule for your computer and frankly the rest of your devices on your network is key. If you're already a client of ours and our agent is installed on your computer, we're already managing your patching schedule, and your primary point of contact can reach out to Reg at any time to get patch compliance reporting if she hasn't already provided it. Antivirus. Keep an antivirus and anti-malware update is very important. I mean, AV is our white knight in the battle against viruses. However, the bad guys are familiar with antivirus. They've probably even got some installed. And they know how to trick AV software. avtest.org is registering over 350,000 new malicious programs and potentially unwanted applications every day. SonicWall registered more than 7 billion malware attacks in 2019. By keeping AV up to date, you're ensuring that you're best protected against new and emerging threats. I recommend using a next-gen AV solution like Cylance or Sentinel-1. These solutions are designed to identify not just definitions of already identified viruses, but to also examine what each process is doing, can do, and will do. Oftentimes, these solutions will allow the virus to run inside of a virtualized container that allows the virus to show its intent before being allowed on your system. And if anyone can hear my kids, I apologize, it's a rain day today. As far as anti-malware, something easy to do from the house is Malwarebytes. It's been a staple in the IT community for almost as long as I can remember. And its free version still holds strong today as an easy way to scan for malware on your system. You've got VPN is a great way to protect yourself. It's a great way to keep your communication private. It's like creating a private language to talk to someone. Even if people around you can hear your conversation, they'll have no way of telling what you're saying. This helps protect company data from prying eyes, and whenever possible, you should really be using the VPN. If you need help setting up VPN for your company, reach out to us and we'll be happy to find the right solution, because it's not always the same. Another step we can take is to turn off the option to automatically connect on Wi-Fi. So our devices have an inherent security flaw when it comes to Wi-Fi. There's no actual way to check who's giving you wireless access, and hackers have caught on to this. They have a specialized wireless router that will impersonate any other wireless router out there. This device is called a Wi-Fi Pineapple, and the group Hack5, they're on their 7th generation of the device as of last week. When your device tries to connect to a wireless network, it'll say, "Hey, where's Bob's home network? I'm looking for Bob's home network. Where you at?" The Pineapple will come back and say, "Hey, I'm Bob's home network. Come on in." And regardless of what password your device gives, the Pineapple will let you right in. Once you're connected, they can sit in the middle of you and the internet you're trying to access, which provides easy access to your communication. This is called a man-in-the-middle attack, and it's very dangerous. They're able to perform many attacks from here, and one of them can take all of your HTTPS requests and return HTTP websites, decrypting all of your data before it gets to you. This means they'll be able to see every password, every bank account, and everything else you visit on the internet. This is all done automatically and logged in real time, so they can do it they can attack multiple people at once. So maybe like at a coffee shop or just walking down the street with the Pineapple in their backpack. When you connect to a wireless network, you should only connect if you expect to see that network in the area. Removing the ability for your wireless network to connect automatically is the first step in protecting yourself. Using VPN will add an additional layer of security to encrypt the data sent, even if you're connected to a dangerous wireless network. Now, it's an old adage, but lock your computer when you're not using it, right? You've heard it over and over, I'm sure, especially in big corporate. But I do this one religiously at home. I've got 2 small children, and they love playing with stuff on daddy's desk. I wouldn't put it past them to delete a server or that file I've been working on all day. But you also want to protect any private information from anyone who may walk by your computer, even in your house, right? You may have a plumber out to fix the leaky toilet or just some friends over for dinner. But what if something on your screen needs to stay HIPAA compliant, right? Or what if it's government contracted information, right, requiring stricter NIST compliance? Another great option is to create a separate user profile. It's a little more technical, but if you're working on your personal device, you can easily create a secondary login that's just a standard user. Right? This will require you to type in your admin password every time you need to update or install something. It's a little bit of a slowdown, but this pop-up can act as a barrier, protecting you from software that you didn't expect. If you don't know why it's asking for the admin password, cancel out and consider running your antivirus scan or just calling Uprite. So we live in a digital world where we have passwords for everything. And it's difficult to remember this many passwords. So we often reduce our complexity by reusing the same password over and over. And if a hacker gets your login for one service, they're going to try it for everything. Your Grubhub account may not be important to you, but are you using the same password for your Gmail? What kind of damage do you think someone could do if they had your password? By using a password manager, you can finally lift the burden of all the memorization tasks. You can use the password manager software or browser plugin and let them autofill the websites for you. Because you don't have to remember all the passwords anymore. Now you can easily have a different password for everything. I'd recommend going with the paid version of these password managers to ensure that you have full access across all your devices. LastPass is my personal favorite, as I've used it for years, but Keeper, Dashlane, and 1Password are also big players in the industry. These services have features that will allow you to generate hard passwords to guess as well. This helps defend against brute force attacks or previously compromised passwords being reused. What about multi-factor authentication, right? So we have the password manager, but what if someone gains or guesses your password? Well, we just need an extra layer of security. Multi-factor authentication can dramatically increase your defense against these kind of compromises. MFA, generally speaking, is something like your password, and something you have or you are, like your phone or biometrics. We've partnered with Duo to bring MFA into the workplace because of their ease of use and versatility. However, there are many authentication apps for your phone that are free to use, including Google Authenticator and Microsoft Authenticator. And in most cases, you can just use SMS text messaging for a code to use as MFA instead. Another great step is to uninstall unused Google Chrome extensions, right? Any of your browser plugins, right? So extensions, that's all they are. They're just a plugin for the web browser. And normally they're just small tools to help you do something repetitive, right? For example, your password manager. You can install a plugin for that. It's going to type in your password for you automatically. You may have an extension to block advertisements from web pages. Right, I've seen one that'll read text out loud for easier multitasking. Now, those are nice, but there's also some risk involved in using something that isn't properly vetted. This year, in 2020, Google has already removed 500 browser extensions from their store because they were stealing private information. There was an entire malicious advertising or malvertising campaign built around these plugins. Most of the advertising was free of risk, but some of it was being redirected to both malware and phishing pages. Right, with that said, just a little bit of spring cleaning on your plugins might be in order. If you do work from your computer, it's your job to keep it clean and secure. Don't install anything your company wouldn't approve of, even if it's your personal computer you're using for work. Long past are the days of using Internet Explorer as our primary web browser. Unfortunately, there are still some legacy websites or web applications that require IE, but I would really only recommend this if you've taken extra steps to harden the browser and the computer you're using it for. If you aren't on Chrome or Firefox already, there's really no time to waste. But both Chrome and Mozilla have proven to take security seriously over the last decade. Even Microsoft has thrown in the towel. They adopted a Chromium undercarriage for their new Windows 10 supplied browser, Edge. Now keep in mind that we don't have all the luxuries of our office's security. We need to keep our work devices as clean as possible. Breaches are expensive, but computers can be cheap. So keep your work activity and your personal activity separate. If you wouldn't install it on your work computer, don't install it on a home computer you're using for work. You can get a second computer for that sort of thing, or even a tablet. Amazon has a decent tablet at around $100 that'll run circles around that 6-year-old laptop that you have sitting in the closet of your home office. Data backup, this is a huge one, right? When backing up data, we adhere to the rule of 3. Have 3 copies of your data, store the copies on at least 2 different media types, and keep at least one of those copies offsite. Now, this is a business class backup configuration. And if you're already doing business with us, the chances are very high that you already have this in place. However, not everything inside is backed up. It's very common to back up the data on the servers, but not the workstations. When working with files, it's best to connect to the VPN and store them on the server in a departmental folder or your user share. Even though we back up the servers, sometimes I have files on my laptop that I wouldn't want to lose. So I like to take this one step further by backing up my work laptop nightly. Backups are so important. I don't really want to get into how many family pictures I've lost due to a poor backup system. Just let us know if there's anything that you need help in finding the right backup solution for your workstations. There's countless solutions out there, and some of them are better than others, but the important part is having a backup. You may want to back up to an external drive that you can grab in case of emergencies, or use a solution that automatically copies your files to the cloud. Whatever it is, I suggest reaching out to us and getting something for your workstation that you're using for work. So I hope that I brought something beneficial for you and that these tips can help protect you while you're working at home. If you have any other questions, we can have a short Q&A after this. But before that, I'd like to go ahead and introduce Regda to discuss how her role at Uprite can help your company.
All righty. Thank you, Matt. Good morning, guys. Happy first day of fall. How exciting. Thank you for taking the time to attend today's webinar. As mentioned, I'll be your success manager here at Uprite, which is a fancy way of saying I'll be your main point of contact. Go ahead, next slide, Matt. Our client success management team is designed with you in mind. Our client success management keeps you at the top of our priority list, giving you everything you need to ensure every initiative you take on is successful. A dedicated account manager, me, is assigned to help you manage the day-to-day, proactively working alongside you to help handle issues and act as your main point of contact. You also have a virtual chief technology officer assigned to help you plan out all your technology initiatives, goals, and objectives while ensuring you meet them. You have a great managed support team available to ensure you have access to various skill sets and areas of expertise whenever you need it. You expect great service. Why settle for anything less than great from your IT company? Uprite Services is committed to providing information technology services that meet our clients' needs and exceed their expectations. Our client bill of rights, which is found actually on our website at www.uprite.com, needs and exceeds their Our client bill of rights is our pledge to deliver world-class service, evidenced by best-in-class client satisfaction. If you visit any of our offices, you will find this pledge displayed for our team as a reminder. These rights reflect our Uprite corporate values: humility, unity, passion, servanthood, and thankfulness. We are very proud of that, and we actually live by that. With that being said, I know I was trying to leave some time for Q&A. I want to thank you all for attending today's webinar. Again, thank you all very much.